if you go on Google Images to search on anything pertaining to Spider-Man 2's DLC, you'll see another image of the roadmap that was actually in the leak from Insomniac Studios at the time, around Q1, maybe going into Q2 of 2023. This unfortunate leak was quite bad. However, it did provide a lot of information on a non-personal side, and like I said, it was just an unfortunate situation overall. But here we are, we're looking at things that we're anticipating, and we're wondering, wow, this stuff is all sitting here. So we need to talk about Wolverine. In fact, we need to talk about Wolverine from the perspective of PlayStation's waning exclusivity stance. Now, the reason I say waning exclusivity stance is because, we've moved different directions in this whole thing. One minute, we're sitting on the possibility that, a game is not going to come to the PC day and date unless it's a single-player game. We've moved that a little bit to a partially single-player game because LEGO Horizon Adventures has a multiplayer aspect and a co-op aspect to it, but it's largely a single-player game, to be very honest. We've also moved to the place where even remakes that did not used to come to PC day and date are now launching on PC day and date. In fact, a game like Until Dawn remake, and then Horizon Zero Dawn, it's remaster or remake. I don't even know what to even call it, but that's also a thing. So again, this is continuing to move over and over again. If you look at the roadmap in terms of Insomniac's roadmap, you'll see that they actually have not only the Ratchet and Clank game and then the Wolverine game that we kind of already know about that were teased at the onset of the PlayStation generation, the Spider-Man 3 game that's coming, and the X-Men game that's coming. I wonder, with this very shortened move from the console to PC, how is PlayStation going to actually approach this from a potential sales perspective? Not only that, the cost to make Spider-Man 2, ouch, is, in my opinion, very intense. And not only is the cost from the front end, but the cost from the back end. I was in a conversation with an audience member of mine who was saying that when these Insomniac leaks actually came to light, that PlayStation had talked about in its own analysis that it was going to find ways to cut cost. You see, the genie is already out of the bag. A lot of developers now know what they can get paid if they get hired in, Sony studios. And so they've already set a standard, they've already set a bar. However, now, this Spider-Man 3 game, which I think, is designed to be cut into about 3 different titles, is one that will have an extensive development, regardless of how you shake it, which will also cost them a lot of money on the front end. Or I guess I should say, which I suspect, let me be very careful, will cost them a good change in terms of them making it. Now that they know that they're going to basically get a good change in terms of what they spend, and they want to split the game into 3, they still have to deal with the fact that every sale that they make, whether it's coming out with the PS6 or whatever it's doing, is going to need to recoup the cost. Now, I know a title like this, they're not going to abandon the PS5. It's going to be destruction for them. They're going to need to get a PS5 launch and a PS6 launch, which is going to pretty much be a similar game engine, game base. Everything is basically the same, can run on the PS5. And so this extended cost, front end and back end, is going to need to be mitigated somewhere. Could we see, and I say this with all caveats, but again, boldly, that they cut down their exclusivity window to somewhere around 6 months and be deliberate about it? Because PlayStation fans are constantly dwelling on Call of Duty. They're constantly dwelling on other live service games, as well as Xbox fans. I'm not saying that this is just a thing that's, isolated to the PlayStation platform. But for a gaming development firm and a publisher that is going to spend hundreds of millions of dollars. I mean, if you think about it, by the time they make 3 or 4 games, they'll be at $1 billion. Think about it. Marvel Spider-Man 2 costing $314 million. If Marvel Spider-Man 3 even gets close, that's over $500 million already. If they move into the Wolverine game, and that costs anywhere close, it starts to push the $1 billion mark in terms of development costs. So what are they going to do for this? So that window probably needs to shorten for every single one of these games around the 6-month mark. Hardware in the console space has peaked. There's only so much you can shove into a box to get your players, and every time you shove it into your box after every 4 or 8 years, it's already old hardware. I mean, think about this. The PS5 Pro is going to be launching at the heels of the RTX 50 series. Like, that's crazy. The PS5 launched at the heels of the RTX 20 series. So since then, there have been this 20 series, that generation, the 30 series, the 40 series, And in the middle of the same console generation, the GPU generation from Nvidia has actually shifted about 3 times since then. By the time the PS6 is coming out, that shift would have also gone insanely crazy. And so again, this is exactly something that even AMD themselves recognize, and even Xbox themselves recognize. This is why they want to take a hardware leap that people are suspecting would be pretty much a gaming PC-like device that gives you what I think is a lot more room. They need to just do it. They need to give you a modular device that can be upgraded over time. They're just they're gonna win. They're gonna take the cake, because at that point they can open it all up. But that's a whole different conversation. I don't want to have that conversation just yet, because I really need for this PS5 Pro to come out so that more PlayStation fans can be very aware of hardware, technology, and how it works. And I think it will lay the foundation for conversations like that. But by and large, I don't think it's out of the question to think that this particular window can come down at the onset of these particular games, especially with the cost associated with them. This cost is one that PlayStation is probably looking at right now, and their consoles have not hit the 100 million sales base. It could reach that sales base. No one is saying it can't. However, what's really changing in the industry right now is just the behavior of gamers continuing to sit hard fast in these live service games, including the new player base that's coming in. Their adoption to non-Fortnite, non-Call of Duty, non-live service games has been really slow, much slower than even the other generations that played previously to them. So this is where these single-player games have a lot of friction when it comes to them achieving or attaining even more in terms of sales. So in my opinion, if PlayStation is looking very carefully at the data and looking very carefully at the trends, which they are, by the way. I mean, the reason they have 60% of their development costs actually being moved into live service development, which we saw from, I think news articles a while back, they acquired Bungie to pretty much help them, understand the live service thing pretty much for $3 billion and all. They're seeing it. They know that it's a thing, right? So when they know that it's a thing, they're even adjusting to mitigate the fact that they don't have any major live service offerings on their own platform. Thankfully, Helldivers is being carried by PC, but how long is that gonna last? Seeing all this and putting it in perspective, I think to me the most important thing here, ladies and gentlemen, is that they find a way to be able to ensure that this game stays profitable. If not, I won't be surprised if they actually canceled any of these IPs that we've already kind of gotten a glimpse of down the road. They already canceled the DLC, even though we kind of saw the leaks for it. So who's to say that these other games are going to be coming out if there's no way to actually make money on the next, episode of these titles that are coming to the market? So thanks for watching the video, man. I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comment section. I really appreciate you guys' time and audience. Hopefully we'll talk pretty soon in another one. Peace out.